So Bitcoin going up and down, I don't really care because my entry point is 6,000. It's always your entry point. What's happening is Jay Powell of the Fed is trying to push the yield curve up. But as most of you know, the real yield curve is the euro dollar curve. It's not the Fed curve. And the euro dollar curve went inverted. Now, every time that has happened, tragedy follows. So most of us are old enough to remember the last time that yield curve, not the last time, but an earlier time was 2007, the euro dollar yield curve inverted and the Fed was trying to hold it up. So the Fed's pushing it this way, but the euro dollar is going this way. And that led to the Lehman moment, 2008. So then what happened in 2019, it inverted again, the repo market inverted, the euro dollar inverted, and COVID appeared. So once again, the euro dollar yield curve inverted just recently. And I'm standing alongside my friend Jim Rickards that this next one is going to be the biggest of all. Now, it's good news for some people, but horrible news for the boomers who are starting to retire. So if you're a stock market person and you're counting on the stock market to keep you alive,
yep.
You know, let's say you're 65 years old and you're going to live to 85, you might be in serious trouble. It's really horrible. But it was predicted in this book here. I'm not a communist, but it's called the Communist Manifesto. And, you know, I'm just shamelessly plugging my book, The Capitalist Manifesto, which comes out in a few weeks. But this book here is only 50 pages. My book is 500 pages. But Marx was an idiot, but he was a smart guy. He predicted everything that's happening today in America. So he said that what's going to happen, and it's happening in this country here, is the boomers will go bust. This book was written in 1848. It is prescient. It is calling exactly what's happening today, 1848 till today. So unfortunately, what Marx was saying was that capitalism would destroy 50% of the population and shove them into poverty. So what happened was this book was written in 1848, 1960. I started studying it in 1965. I went to school in New York. I went to military school. 66, I'm in Vietnam as a student with the Merchant Marine Academy. And I could see what this book was saying coming to life. 72, I'm flying in Vietnam. I was a Marine pilot. It's my squadron patch. And then in 74, ERISA comes out, and ERISA is Employee Retirement Income Security Act, today known as the 401k. So you have all of these baby boomers who have no idea about markets, and they blindly give their money over to Wall Street, who will rip them off. I mean, I'm not against Wall Street, I'm just against corruption. They rip them off. They don't know what's going to happen. And now, exactly as Rickards has been saying, you know, he says the Fed, the most incompetent people going, they're telling everything's going right, whereas the euro dollar market is so much bigger than the Fed. The euro dollar market is the biggest market in the world, and it's just inverted. We're going down.
One thing that struck me, and you know how much of a genius Rickards is he believes that we've actually reached peak inflation, that the worst in terms of inflation is behind us. I'm not sure if you agree with him there, because he's saying the reason that we got into this inflationary environment is not because of money that was released into the system, but because of bad policies from the Biden administration, but that we've peaked here in terms of that inflation. Do you agree?
The biggest problem, again, is the euro dollar system, which is 1,000 times bigger than the Fed, is crashing. Europe is going down right now. I mean, if you see the report, and this is not me speaking, this is the Wall Street Journal talking about it. There's so many rioting going on about this COVID stuff. People just don't want to take it anymore. The uncertainty is too high, so the euro dollar system is trying to go down. But Jim Rickards talks about a thing called Triffin's dilemma. Triffin's dilemma took place in 1944 when the US dollar became the reserve currency of the world. And what that meant was the US dollar was screwed anyway. So one of these, I'm a gold bug and a silver bug and a Bitcoin bug and all this. I just don't trust the Fed. And all these people say, oh, don't fight the Fed, you know. ride with the Fed. They're full of it. And so when I listen to Jim Records, it's about Triffin's dilemma. We always have to run a deficit. And now we can't run it much longer. So more than inflation or deflation is that the euro dollar market is now, as the index has inverted. Every time that has happened, something bad is done. That's what I'm concerned about. Inflation going up, but the thing is, it's already coming down. If you look at Rickards, now I love Jim Rickards, you can tell. When you look at the numbers, is that we're already in a depression. In other words, if economies have been growing at 3%, it's only growing at 2%. That's a technical depression. And that's what he's saying in this new book, The New Depression. So people are watching, oh, the stock market's up, everybody's happy and all this, but everything's inverting upon us. So just recently, the euro dollar curve inverted. Every time that has happened, it was followed by Lehman Brothers and it was followed by COVID. And so this one is going to happen again. And that's why I'm saying to people, because I'm a gold and silver and Bitcoin bug, this is a good time to get into gold and silver now. That's what I'm saying.
You know what's interesting, Robert? I think people's frustration with gold, like you and I obviously understand gold. Gold moves at a different pace. So what do you say to those folks out there who don't see how they could get wealthy with gold? Or maybe it's not about that. Is it just about wealth preservation?
Correct. It's just one of the tenets of what is money. It's a store of value. And you and I always have this conversation. I'm not buying gold because I like gold. I buy gold because I don't trust the Fed. And you know, and these people actually listening to the Fed, you've got to be kidding me. There's 700 PhDs. That's 700 people like my poor dad running the biggest Ponzi scheme going. I just don't trust the Fed. You know, what's his name? Ron Paul doesn't trust the Fed. You know, if you look at, if you understand this guy here, the Fed is actually a Marxist organization. Look, I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I hope I'm wrong. But this book here about a communist, I read this book when I was 1965, 1966. I'm in Vietnam. I'm seeing everything these guys are saying coming true. 1972, I'm flying in Vietnam. I flew behind enemy lines to buy gold because it was illegal for Americans to own gold in 1972. I walk up to a little Vietnamese gold seller, and I said, and so gold was now $50 an ounce, $50 an ounce from 35. And I said to the little Vietnamese woman, I want a discount. She looked at me like I was an idiot. She says, are you kidding me? What school did you go to, you idiot? She says, spot. And I didn't know what spot meant. So this little Vietnamese woman was one of the best teachers I ever had. She says, you're an idiot. You don't even know what spot is.
How do you manage the volatility of Bitcoin when there's talk of, hey, it could correct back down to 20,000? How do you control the panic?
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
But Danielle, we all know your profit is made when you buy, not when you sell. So my strike price for Bitcoin is 6,000. So I think today is about 40,000. So I'm selling the money. So as my rich dad said to me, your profit's not made when you buy, not when you sell, it's made when you buy. And so you always want to be early into the market. It's the same as, you know, when I bought gold, it was $50 an ounce. I still have, I bought my first Kruger in 1972 in Hong Kong because it's illegal for Americans to own gold, which I thought was interesting. And that little Vietnamese woman yelling at me about spot and she wanted to give me a discount. Everybody wants a discount. I'm going, what is going on here? So the issue is people don't know what money is. That's the problem. We have no financial education in school. And I've made a fortune in Rich Dad, Poor Dad saying that we should have financial education in our schools, but we don't. We don't even know what money is. So Bitcoin going up and down, I don't really care because my entry point is 6,000. It's always your entry point. And how many ounces do you have? How many coins do you have? But also if it's going to crash, it's when you get out. The stock market is it's not an all-time high, but it's pretty high. It adjusted last week. I feel for my baby boom friends. They're going to get hammered.
The reason I brought up cash to you before, Robert, is because I'm seeing a trend, and I've brought it on in other interviews, where I'm seeing more and more experts and people who are trying to get out of the banking system completely. You know, you talk of the mistrust of the Fed, but there's also this fear that the banking system will collapse. And if they were in cash or whatever percentage, they're converting it, you know, into Bitcoin, into gold, into silver. I mean, would you advocate to be completely out of the banking system, or do you think you should be a bit liquid in cash?
What is real today? What is real? You know, and I think really that's kind of the question. So gold and silver are God's money. There's no counterparty risk to gold and silver. They're elements of the periodic table. So God is the counterparty to gold and silver. Bitcoin is the network system. Same as Ethereum. It's the network. It's outside the control of the Fed. And so when people say that the Fed's going to shut down Bitcoin and all that, it's possible. They did that in China. So anything's possible to. So I would just listen to idiots like me and go, well, maybe I should do something different than count on my Apple stock keeping going up. I keep saying silver. Silver has always been the best. It's still 50% off its all-time high, and they keep using it for industry. Gold is just stored, but silver is used in industry. It's an industrial metal. I keep looking at that going, why is the price $22? You know, and as we know, JP Morgan, all those guys got caught with their hand in the till suppressing it. It's only bad news if you don't like what I'm saying. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you could.
And I'm just telling you, the euro dollar index inverted. Every time that has happened throughout history, something bad has happened. And if you listen to guys that you and I respect, like Records and Griffin and all this, it's inverted. The Fed cannot stop what's going to happen. So is that good news or bad news, or is that the fact right now?
Do you want to know one thing about crypto? I made over 3,000% in profit in a few weeks. Fact is, the traditional financial system, the traditional money system makes you poor, not rich. If you want to earn $500,000, $1 million, you have to wait until you're 50, 60, 70 in the traditional financial system, and you probably will still be broke. And you will be old. This is not a sexy combination, as you can imagine. But the question is, how can you start in crypto and make these profits? Where to invest? Where to start? My name is Gunnar and I'm from Germany, as you can hear, and things are a little bit different in Germany. More about that later on. Fact is, there are lots of different cryptocurrencies. It's a gigantic universe where beginners and professionals get easily lost. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. There are 7 key steps you need to follow to become successful in this market. You have to know them, and if you fail one of them, it's literally impossible to succeed in this market. Just an example, one of the key points is your exchange, and one of the biggest are, for example, Binance and Coinbase. These are trusted and well-established exchanges, but, and this is a big but, you won't find the super profitable coins on those exchanges. The unknown super profitable coins that get gigantic profits are not traded on those kind of exchanges. They are traded on much smaller insider platforms that are barely known. And I can tell you what those super secret exchanges are and why they are so profitable. And another super important thing are the right information sources. The point is, the internet is gigantic. There are hundreds and hundreds of YouTube channels, blogs, pages, and much more. And there are also market makers and influencers. For example, Elon Musk, he is not a crypto guy, but the moment he recommended Dogecoin, it went through the roof, to the moon, so to say. But why did he recommend it? Where did he hear it from? He didn't hear it from newspapers. And believe me, he is listening to someone. But you have to know who, and you have to react before he is reacting. This is really, really important. And these are only 2 of the 7 steps you have to follow in order to be successful in crypto. And if you want to know all of these steps in much more detail, and if you want to have a comprehensive checklist, here's what you should do. There is a link below this video. Click on this link and you will get the opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Click on the link and you will see a video where I explain the next steps. So see you soon. Click on the link now. I'll see you there.